What's up, SE Nation? Ramsey here. Like many of sales engineers out there, I actually started the role of sales engineering without knowing what it is, what it entails, what I'm supposed to do, other than I work with customers. And I became a sales engineer when I applied to a systems engineering role. And then I figured out what that means after I started my job. Now that I've been doing this for a long time, it seems, starting to think back, what would I have done differently? So I'm gonna record this video. It's basically a brainstorming session about what I would have done differently if I were new to sales engineering, and hopefully that will help one of you listening or watching. So I wrote down 6 things I would have done differently. There's a million things I could have done differently, but these are the top 6. If you're interested in learning more about what I would have done differently, English, it's hard. Just let me know and I will come up with a second part 2, part 3, part 17. The first thing I would have done differently, which is number 1 obviously, is focus on the SE trade. When I came into sales engineering, I focused so much on learning the product and the technology. I already knew the technology, but I wanted to learn the product very well. I wanted to learn all the bits and bytes of the product, dig in deep, things that I may never use ever in my life, but I just really wanted to learn the product. And after spending all this time learning the product, I didn't know anything about sales engineering still. Like, I spent a month just focusing on the products. And I've thought sales engineering is you just show up to a meeting, sit back, answer technical questions, and leave. Or alternatively, they will just tell me what they want, I will show them what they want, and that's the demo. Like, hey, you click on this button, you configure this that way, you configure it that way, and see you later.
Sayonara.
And then my salesperson would close the deal, because they're that good.
A always be B, C closing. Always be closing.
Some customers did tell me what they want, some customers did not. And when they didn't, I didn't know what to do about it. I just sat there. What is my job? I'm here to answer technical questions, I'm here to show you the product, but you haven't told me what you want, so I don't know what to show you. Is it product A, product B, product C, product F? Which product do you want to see? Which feature did you want to see? Which button did you want me to click? So I would really focus on the sales engineering trade. Asking questions, learning about the customer. Simple things, being curious. That's not something I knew how to do. Well, I was curious, I just wasn't curious about the right things. The second thing I would do is try to understand why. I mentioned my job, I thought, was to sit there and answer questions. And I did that. I did that very well. I just sat there for hours answering customers' questions and never thinking in my head, like, why are they asking that question? And not so rudely. I didn't mean to ask it so rudely, but I never thought, like, hey, this is an interesting question. Why are they asking that question? So I never tried to understand why. I never understood why they bought from us either. They asked a few questions, I answered them, they put in a PO. Alright, great. I must be great at my job. I didn't know why they bought. And when we weren't just answering questions, we were doing this pray and pray methodology, which is an amazing methodology which everyone should adopt. Don't. I'm just joking. And when we did this pray and pray, I didn't actually learn anything about the customer. I just came and dumped all my information on them and walked out. The PO came in, PO didn't come in, didn't really affect me. I did my job. So what I do today is very different, obviously. It's been almost 10 years, is it? Somewhere around there. For the customers who've already bought, I want to understand why they bought my product. Why didn't they buy my competitors? Why they wanted it to begin with. Right now in a meeting, I actually ask the question, like, why are you even talking to me? And I also try to understand why they're asking the questions they're asking. Sometimes customers don't want to come out and tell you stuff. Like, if you ask them questions, they might not want to answer them. But if they ask you questions, now that's a clue. So basically try to understand why. Why everything? Like, just, do what your son or daughter does. And why? That's just a good SE strategy. And the third thing I would do is focus less on technology and focus more on what the technology does for our customers. Technology is great. Who doesn't like it? Many SEs play around with their technology. It's their toys. They play around with it for days. But technology is only useful if it serves a purpose. And usually that means solving a business problem. If I were to start over, I will try to understand the business problems that we solve. Keep in mind that I work in test and measurement. The business problem that we solve is fairly simple. Customers need to test their products. That's where I come in. Basically, they're trying to find bugs in the routers and switches that they provide their customers before they go in the field and cost people millions of dollars. I mean, if Verizon Wireless had an outage, how much money would that cost Verizon Wireless? How much money would Verizon Wireless, how much would that cost my customers? Let me put it to you simply, a lot of money. But that's a very superficial business reason. Yes, it's obvious. We need to make sure that we test for bugs. Yeah, but another business reason could be we need to test faster because the faster we can releases, provide our customers newer versions with newer features, the faster we can charge them money. That's another business case that no one talked to me about until I figured out a few years ago. Because I kept asking why. What? You're asking me about automation. Why are you asking me about automation? Why are you asking me about automation speeds? All these questions we have to go through to understand exactly what they need. What's the business case there? And that's just one example. There are a million other examples. Different teams have different things, different requirements. So they could have different business cases. The fourth thing I would have done is diversify my source of information, or my sources of information. When I first became an SE, I was assigned a mentor, and he was a good guy. And he was the guy I went to when I had questions, mainly product questions, not necessarily sales or SE questions, just product questions. Like, hey, where can I find information about this product or that product? Or does this product support this? Where can I find that information? And in my new definition of mentorship, that's not really a mentorship. That's more of an encyclopedia or Google. Someone you go to ask, where can I find this information? And then he left, and my manager said, hey, Ramsey, you're doing great. You don't need a mentor. Perfect. So I used my account manager as an unofficial mentor. I mean, obviously I did that. He always talked about how great he was. Turns out he was not that great because he just did the spray and pray methodology, which I perfected, as I mentioned earlier. And basically what I was learning from him was bad habits. Things that I would have to spend years unlearning when I figured out, hey, I'm doing this wrong. If I were to start again, I would diversify my sources of information. I don't need to have one mentor. I don't need to have one person tell me what to do. I can talk to multiple people. And I don't just mean ask more people. I mean ask different kinds of people. You have sales engineers, account managers, product managers, people from inside your company, people from outside your company. It's so easy right now with so many communities out there like PSC and SENY or Sales Engineer SE Nation to actually go out and get information and get mentors. The fifth thing I would do is not be afraid to learn about sales and read a lot of sales books. I didn't read a sales book in my first 2 years as a sales engineer. I was so focused on learning the technology, the products, that I didn't think about learning about sales. So I started in 2014. The first sales book I read was in 2016. It was Solution Selling Book, which is Solution Selling Book. And when my account manager got promoted to a director, not sure how that happened, but hey, right time, right place. We started interviewing for other account managers. One of them asked me how long the sales cycle usually is. And I wasn't comfortable answering that question because I wasn't 100% sure what a sales cycle was. I mean, I don't really think we had a sales cycle. We just showed up and we left. And if the customer puts in a PO, they put in a PO. I didn't even have access to a CRM back then. So basically, I was the technical guy answering technical questions to customers. If I had understood a little bit more about sales and read a little bit more, I would have been able to guide the sales process a little bit better as a sales engineer. And that was before 2016. I haven't stopped reading about sales since then, so I've made up for it. And the sixth thing I would have done differently is start a podcast, or alternatively hire a coach. The podcast for me, which is We the Sales Engineers, by the way, has been kind of a coaching service for me. I'm getting coached by so many different people. I've had around 200 interviews, I'm not sure, plus minus, because I've had a few solo shows here and there. But beyond that, the relationships I've developed through those podcasts have allowed me to talk to people outside the podcast, being honest, vulnerable. I am very vulnerable on the podcast, and I try to be as honest as possible. But there's always some things that I don't want to say, or maybe the guest doesn't want to say. So I've been able to get coaching unofficially like that. Now, if you don't want to start a podcast, maybe you should consider getting coaching, paying for it. I mean, invest in yourself. And I know I'm kind of biased because I am offering that service. But if you don't want to hire me, hire anybody. Start with mentors, and if that doesn't work out, get coaching. Because I feel like I wouldn't have wasted 2 years of my life flailing around trying to be a better SE. I could have been a lot better SE by now. And that's it. These are 6 things I would have done differently. Comment below. Let me know what you think. And if you think this will be useful to anybody, make sure you share it. Make sure you like, because it helps the algorithm and it helps me. If you want to support me in any way, shape, or form, it's a free button to press. You don't get charged, I don't think. Anyways, that's me. Peace out.